So we're going to fill out the points of the unit circle. A couple things that we should just know are the critical values of it. And we should know that 0 and 1 are critical values of it. The reason why I'm spreading them out like this will become obvious in a moment. And why I'm changing the colors will become obvious. The next number that we know is 1/2 and the square root of 3 over 2. And then the last number that's important is root 2 over 2. And the reason why I wrote them like this is that they are in order from smallest to largest, if we just think about the magnitude. And the black ones go together and the red ones go together and the purple one is doubled with itself. And what we should remember is that each color solves the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. So that's where those numbers come from. So I'm going to start filling this in. I like to start with the easy points, which I consider the ones that are on the x and y axis. So we start here. The x value is 1, the y value is 0. We go up to the top, the x value is 0 and the y value is 1. We go over to the left, the x is -1 and the y value is 0. And we come to the bottom and the x value is 0 and the y value is -1. So it's just all the zeros and ones mixed together. So we've taken care of these. Those are done. Now we're going to start working on the next bit. And so I know that those are the ones at pi over 6. And I look at this point here, and I realize that the x is bigger than the y. And I know that root 3 over 2 is bigger than 1/2. So I'm going to have root 3 over 2 and 1/2. The x is going to be root 3 over 2, the y is 1/2. And then I look at this next point, and I see that the x is smaller than the y, so it must be 1/2 and then root 3 over 2. And then I continue to move around, and now I can look over here and I go, hey, their y values are the same, that's nice. And their x value, well, it's just the opposite of it because we can see that by symmetry, so it's -1/2. And I can look down here at this one and I see that their y values are the same, so they're both 1/2, and the x value again is the negative. And then I look down and I go, okay, great, vertically they are the same, so the x values are the same, they're both going to be negative. And the y value is going to be, instead of 1/2, it's going to be -1/2. And then I go to my next point and I just kind of keep thinking the same thing. I go, look at that, the x values are the same, so it's -1/2. And the y value is going to be the opposite, so negative root 3 over 2. I continue to move around. The x values are the same. The y values are the same. Right? I'm just looking at that point, and they're lining up, so it's 1/2 and negative root 3 over 2. I can look over here, and I can go, great, it's below the x-axis, so it's going to be -1/2, that's the short side, and it's the long side over here, so it's root 3 over 2. There's lots of different symmetries happening, so however you think about it is fine. But it all should correlate, right? It all should line up. Okay, the last one we're going to do is the root 2 over 2's. This one, we know that they're both in positive and they're both exactly the same, so that goes right there. That's that 45-90 triangle we did before. We look over here and we can see the y value is the same, but the x value is going to be negative because it's to the left of the origin. When we come down here and we know that things in quadrant 3, everything is negative, both x and y, so both things are going to be negative. And then we move over here and we know that the x value is positive. And notice the x values line up. And then the y value is also going to be negative because you're below the x-axis and it lines up with that point. So I hope that helps you guys out. Another thing that I'd like to point out, if you're having trouble remembering these, you can think about them, and I'll do this in a different color, as root 0 over 2. root 1 over 2, root 2 over 2, root 3 over 2, and root 4 over 2. That way you can just think about it as counting. And notice square root of 0 is just 0, so if you do a little bit of math, it gets you right back to 0. Root 1 over 2, well, we know the square root of 1 is just 1, so that gets us back there. Root 2 over 2, that's the exact same. Root 3 over 2, that's exact same. Square root of 4, well, that's 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1. So those are equivalent. It's just another way to remember these critical numbers that we need to put around. Like I said before, your job's not to memorize it. It's just to have some facts about it. This column, I guess you do need to memorize unless you want to use that equation all the time. But you should be able to build it out. And we'll practice in class quite a few times. Thanks.